out there.
That's the only bad thing.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you had a nice blizzard out there just to do some snow blowing today.
You sent Kathleen out?
Yeah, no. So, we have a tough schedule coming up right now with, I had to do the planning, so go to Iowa where we've had some success, but not as much as we'd like. And go there and play a team that has had 2 tough losses back to back. And is really good basketball team. It's an NCAA level team. We're on the road. If it's anything like, and I expect to be like, the beginning of our Indiana game as far as the atmosphere, it's going to be electric. I think the cold snap will be over, and people will be out in force to do whatever they can. They got we're tied for first. They're trying to get quality wins. They're a quality team. It should be a heck of a game. So they have unique challenges. They play a variety of defenses. We have to be a little bit like what we saw against Ohio State. You have to figure that out quickly. You have to discern it quickly, and then get into things. And it used to be much easier when there was a 45-second shot clock and even a 35-second clock. You could take 5 seconds to figure things out. That'll be a big thing for us today, for us to try to figure out what they're in and then attack it, but the attack's got to be pretty simple.
John, you talked after the game the other night about the importance of playing physically without fouling. I'm wondering how you kind of teach that to people.
We'll play physically without bad fouls. I guess I don't want to be told, hey, we don't foul. We try not to have bad fouls. And if you look at a game, there's 3 or 4 bad fouls every single game, that if you can avoid those, that could be the difference between a one-on-one, a guy in foul trouble, right, or a double bonus. So we try to avoid that. No, it's just every day in practice, we're very physical with how we practice, but bad fouls are pointed out, every minute, right? And sometimes people want to, we start every practice, how are we gonna practice hard? How are we gonna practice smart? And smart is don't put them in the foul line. We can't defend the foul line. We can't defend a foul shot. So the one way to avoid that to happen is don't put them there carelessly.
Are there certain drills you do for that, or is it just sort of?
No, yeah, just watching it, and then there's times guys will have some type of punishment run or something if they do something that's careless. But when it's preached every single day, then they sort of realize it and how important it is. So it really helps the team not to give the other team free throws.
Andrew?
You've talked in the past about comparing like where Charles Matthews is now to his stats to where they were at this point last year, or even comparing it to his like positional equivalent on like the 2013 or 14 team.
Yeah.
Like are there anything now we're halfway through Big Ten play that you've looked at?
I mean, everything is really good except the assist numbers, and the only thing that I would tell you from last year was he was involved in a lot of pick and pop with Mo Wagner, and Mo's probably made twice as many threes at this time, if not more than that, than John Teskey would have made. And then if you look at our shooting percentages, we're at 31%, 32%, 33% from 3. We're capable of going 40. But last year we'd been at 37, 38. So there's an assist or 2 every game as well that he's hitting the open man. But basically, I think what's really great about him right now is just what he's doing for us defensively. I know it doesn't sound complimentary to me. It's a big compliment to say that he gets garbage. He gets in there and gets loose basketballs that other people don't want to stick their nose in on, and that's a huge compliment. And that's why we win.
Even for team stats or someone else on the team, is there again, if you've looked at comparison in the past years, anything that jumps out that's positive?
We self-scout ourselves. And we do the synergy on our own selves, and our defensive numbers are outstanding. So that's one thing that really stands out to us. And our offensive stuff is not bad either, and that's a little surprising to me compared to the league, because I still don't think we've hit our stride offensively. We're still trying to figure out what a good shot is, what a bad shot is, when we should make the extra pass, when we shouldn't. And so those are big, but somehow we're still under 10 turnovers a game. We're not putting people to the foul line, and I love that we're shooting foul shots pretty well too right now.
Chris?
Coach, thoughts on Garza's emergence and how much that changes them and
Yeah, that, last year when we went there early in the year, they got this big freshman, Luca Garza, and he's pretty good. We got to stay in front of him, but it was never, hey, we really got to get to his three-pointer or even his 15-footer. And then we played him here, made some, and then in the Garden he was really good, shooting from distance. So that's a big difference when you have a big that can score in the post, has a great feel with his back to the basket, can also hit a little, port shot that is a 15-footer or something in the middle of the lane that's just automatic. But now he had 3 threes at Minnesota, so that's a different thing that puts us into some quandaries that we got to figure out.
And then John Teskey around the rim seems to have been off balance a little bit. Is that something?
Yeah, John's always been off balance, and it's something we've really tried to work hard at. That he doesn't use his dribble when he should, and sometimes just landing mechanics or a feel of where he is on the court. So we continue to give him a diet of that. I just gave the order that we got to increase the diet of that. I mean, we have to feed him more in unique situations so he knows which way to turn. We got a couple guys like that. They have an easy basket here and they turn the other way and get off balance, and it is really hard to teach. It's some things guys just do it naturally, and John doesn't do it as naturally. So he's much better than where he was before.
Zach?
With Charles, you mentioned the getting the garbage for the only senior, for the one guy with NBA hype entering the season. Does that surprise you that he's taken on that role and instead of maybe?
No, that's who he's always been. That's who he's always been. Really, I mean, he's been a guy that uses his quickness, his length, his desire to win to get you extra possessions, and that's who he's always been. While he works at so many other things, like right now, his step in jump shot numbers are very, very good. They've really rose way up, but he doesn't take it. He'd rather drive it. So that's what gets him into trouble a little bit. It's hard to drive when the guy's not there, right? Just shoot it in, and that's what. So he had a little bit of a runaway the other night. Those are big things. We're just trying to slow down, shoot it when you're open, pass it when you're not, right? But that's something that he's always had. He's always had a nose for the ball. Like I said, I don't want to say garbage. I don't want you guys to say he's a garbage man. He's not. But I mean, he's a tough dude that gets loose basketballs, and that's the compliment we're trying to give him, or we do give him.
With it being almost February, where are you in trying to figure out the net rating and the differences between the RPI?
Yeah, haven't looked at it. I looked at the BPI a couple weeks ago and saw we were up there. So not even thinking about it. It's not even entering my mind. And I think that if our season was different right now and we were perceived as one of those bubble teams, I'd probably pay a little bit more attention to it. And I think that nobody's in yet. I mean, nobody's in. So, but why pay attention to it right now and just focus on the next day? But it would be more curiosity if we weren't 20-1 as to what people what type of quality wins we have and what we got to do going forward. We got to win going forward. That's the only thing we got to worry about.
Did you look at it the off season and try to figure out what is actually going to go into this thing? And all
No, I do understand the idea. You go on the road and play road games and against a good team and you lose, right? In a good game, that should be a positive, right? And so it should. And then obviously who you play and what your league is doing should help you as well.
All right. With the balance Iowa has, how difficult is it to stop 5 or 6 guys being scored?
They're just a scoring machine. I mean, they're just running the court. And what really is, they're playing at the 3rd or 4th highest tempo in the country, and they're flying the big man up the floor. You watch every game, and they'll get it again. They'll pitch it ahead to the big man, who will make a catch over his shoulder and lay it in. And we'll be yelling at one of our guards who is supposed to be back. Well, if one of our guards drives it, and the other guy waits for 1 minute in the corner to see whether the ball went in, they're going to get one at the other end. They take it out quick and they're gone. So what they have is a whole bunch of guys that can do that. I mean, those are they're 4 and they're 5 men are terrific. Now, Kriener is really, he's shooting the ball well also. But I've always admired how Bohannon plays. Moss is on fire. 15 for 19 from 3. 15 for 19 from 3, I think, in his last few games, his last 5 games. So they just got talent everywhere, and then Bayer's in his 6th year now, so, geez, he's been there for a while, and he deflects the ball. He's over the top of the rim. Good player.
And then how big of a matchup individually is this for Iggy going against Coach?
Yeah, it is that's what we're talking about right now. Who do we match him up with, right? They have, one's bigger and one's smaller, but what other roles on the team? And we'd rather do it by roles on the team than size. And so, but I look at him and I look at John, and every day there's like this 4-man and this 5-man that we've been playing every day that are like marquee players. And we've been able to do okay with it. But Iggy's really improving in that area.
Right in the middle with Noah.
John, I know the players have been off from class today and yesterday. I was curious, has that made it any easier maybe to prepare for this next game, or has the weather impacted your routine at all?
No, I mean, we moved everything up yesterday just a couple of hours just to change the routine, because typically they don't eat training table till 7 or 7:30. So give them a couple more hours, and then we did it both days, and we're leaving a little bit earlier today as well, just because of that. Usually we get in the hotel, everybody throw their bags in, we're watching video. We're not going to be as rushed in it because they didn't have class. That was the only changes, but I know the young men were I'm sure no one was upset that they didn't have classes, for sure.
James?
Iowa's offensive numbers are better now than they were last season. They have a lot of the same guys back, I guess.
But the whole team back. They had 100% back. One guy that didn't play a whole lot.
I guess what are they doing better this season on offense than they did?
They're older. They're just older. They have a plan. They plan, like Garza's figured things out. They have really done just a good job of like playing off each other a lot. They're better in their defenses numbers they're better in their defense because they understand to hit. That will go back into from a 3/4 court press to a 3-zone to a 2-zone into a 1-2-2. That's a lot of stuff for them to be able to figure out when you're young as they were. Everybody 1 year later, it's incredible what you don't have to teach anymore, and then you can move out into better detail. First, you're just sort of teaching the nuts and bolts of it, and that's where they were last year.
How much do you think you guys look forward to these strength for strength matchups where you guys can prove just how good this team is defensively?
Well, I think we got to look at every day as this great opportunity to, be better as a team and win big games, and especially road games. I always tell our team, and I've told you guys before, I don't remember many home games. There's just a few, but the road wins you have, because there's only truthfully, maybe 4 to 8 a season that you're going to have in a good year. And so those are special as opposed to the 17 or 18 home wins you might have if you're having a good year.
Back with Brenda.
The backup 5 spot, are you...
What do you want to do?
Moving forward, it seems like you're still at the point right now where it's based on matchup?
That's what, yeah, pretty much, and really the prior 2 days of practice.
Okay.
And so it is, this may be one, where Brandon may be better. It depends how we match up with them. We're going to sort of look at that today's practice, look at the action versus the personnel, and decide what our best matchup is. But it's sort of that, and then we have the Isaiah factor that we did the other day and it was sort of, I think if they had Ohio State didn't have Kyle Young out, we may never have gone there because they had him out. Right, then they played the younger or the older Weston as the 5-man. That was our best action, is to put Isaiah as a 5 and match up with him.
And are you comfortable with that if the current arrangement is still the case in a month from now, or entering postseason? Would you rather be a firm every game? You pretty much
the only thing that's going to change this a lot right now would be, number one of those guys really steps up in practice, and there's this epiphany of how you're going to play and you're understanding it. There's still these times, whether it's one guy's offense, one guy's defense, where it's just you watch him practice, says he's not going to help us in the game. He's not ready to help us in the game. That happens, several times over a couple week period, and then you make decisions from there. Or injury or foul trouble, we're just going to have to go, and then maybe somebody will have opportunity in a game like Brandon did before, where Isaiah Livers was out and he just had to play. And he'd like to be in that situation. For him, we don't want to be there for us. We want Teskey on the floor, and he's handling 32 minutes, brilliantly.
Tim?
At the backup guard spots, I think a week or two ago you mentioned that Eli and DeJulius were, kind of in a, were competing for time there, and it's mostly been Eli so far. But how is that?
It's the same. It's the same thing. Is that it depends on who with foul trouble, who gets it. Does Jordan get in foul trouble? Does Charles get in foul trouble? What is our best option at the 2 guard? And then we're looking at that. And the big difference is one has 1 more year experience on him right now. And that with Xavier playing so well, it's like what are we going to do with that other 4 minutes at the point guard, right? Eli can handle it, and if he doesn't handle it well, then that's the next game. Maybe it's Dave's turn. But Eli also is he does so many little things defensively that make us better that frankly Dave's not ready to do yet. There's so much going on. Every game there's 2 days a scouting report changes. It's a lot for him. So we've had him on the scout team. He is on the scout team on offense, and then he's a scout team for the scout team offense, and he comes back and plays defense or plays offense with the main group, just so we can continue to get him in the mix. But he makes our scout team better. And I'm saying that you're going to get on the court just by coming off a ball screen and making it nice. If you're Bohannon today, right, and you play a really good imitation of Bohannon, you got a better shot of getting on the court than you do if you're getting a rep every 3 times with our first team.
I know you play them when they tell you to, but do you have thoughts on the Friday night games?
Yeah, I don't. The only thing I didn't like is when I filled out how many days are we going to miss classes. We put down this day as a day we're going to miss class, but we never would. And unfortunately, in most colleges right now, unlike the good old days, when you had classes 5 days a week, a lot of our guys are fortunate enough to only have a class or none on Friday. So we're not missing a lot of classes on Friday. But the energy in the building in Indiana, I expect the energy here. It's a Friday night. I hate what it does maybe to high school games, but it's a pretty, good concept. And as opposed, I know I'd rather play a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon rather than a late Saturday night, 9 p.m. game. And this game being at 6 o'clock their time is perfect. And we'll have a Saturday off for our kids, which I think is good too.
And then Caleb Wesson's mom had some choice words for your student section. Did you read about that? And do you have any response to that?
Yeah, I didn't hear about that, and I'm hoping what we're saying is not what some people may think they're saying. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll have to deal with that next time. I don't pay, as you know, I don't pay a lot of attention to the crowd. But when I heard more about it, I thought they were saying something else, and thought they were saying, something else. But I'm not dwelling on what they're saying. But if it's true, we're going to clean that up.
Coach, that's going to do it.
All right, thanks.